Okay, we're going to export our textures. We finished texturing in Substance and we want to get this out. We don't export a model from Substance Painter. We actually export just a texture set, a series of textures that we hook up in the Maya Arnold standard shader. Right, so yeah, it's very simple, pretty much. Let's just go to Export Textures under the File menu. Export Textures, you'll come up with this, first the global settings. So we just want to set our export directory first. So I'm just going to pop over to here. And I'm going to export into my Substance Painter folder. So you should set this up. You'll need to have an export folder for this. And you'll then need to set up a folder. You can see I've already done this. So ed01 002. So, and this is my second texture set. So you need to create a folder to export it, because what it's going to do is going to export a bunch of different maps. So you want to just collecting that. If you just exported it directly into this folder, you end up with so many different textures that you quickly lose sight of where you are with things. So create a specific folder for your export, and an export folder. Okay, so next we're just going to have a look at our output template. So here is where we tell it what type of software or render engine we're exporting to. The great thing about Substance is it can export to different render engines. So if we want to export for Unreal, we can do it, and it'll export the textures in a different way, set up in a different way. That's why it's so useful. So in this case, we're not using Arnold UDIM, so we're only using Arnold standard. There's only one UV set, so Arnold standard should be fine. Size, we're just going to go to 4096 or 4K texture. And the padding, we're going to switch it to dilation transparent. What dilation is we've left a 12 pixel gap between these UV islands, these different shapes. Dilation infinite would carry on the last pixel of color until it hit a last pixel color from another island. So you basically end up with these stretching of these colors, which is useful to make sure there's no UV seams. But the drawback is you end up when it's sometimes hard to read where a UV island starts and stops. So what we're going to do is go for dilation transparent. It's sometimes I find this much more useful, and I'm going to go to 12 pixel extension. This means that if I do need to like clean up or tweak any of my textures specifically in Photoshop, it's just going to be easier to isolate those islands and figure out where they start and stop. It's just like building in a get out of jail card sometimes. Okay, so with that all set, it's pretty straightforward. We've set a directory, we know where it's going, we set up here. Just check here to make sure that the different maps are coming through. So you can see here I've got color. This is metalness, roughness, normal, height, and emissive. Now in my case, I have set up an emissive for the eyes, so my eyes are actually glowing. If you would want that, I'll be able to show that in a different video. It's pretty straightforward. We just add an emissive channel and then you paint into that channel. You can see from your templates as well. So if I was to, you can look at the different templates and how those break down. So an emissive comes with an RGB color and an alpha. You can actually custom make a lot of these as well and make your own custom export settings, which is pretty cool. Anyway, so pop back over here. We're just going to hit the export button and it'll just churn through that and it'll export our maps. Okay, so I'm just going to check on that. Output directory, happy days, and it's got a JSON file that you can use to hook up your shader as well. These are your different maps. So this is your diffuse, which is just the color only. This is your emissive, so you can see here the bits that glow and the color that they're going to glow in. And this is our roughness, our height map. So if there's any height information we can use to throw into our object. Metalness, which is metal, which is not, how metal it is. Our normal map for our normal detail. And our roughness as well. So essentially we've exported our textures to this. Now, one thing I would advise, if we're going to use this, we want to copy this folder. So we don't want to hook up these specific textures into our Maya project. We want to copy this folder with these images into our Maya project. I'm going to put them in our source image folder here. You can see I've already done this. Paste 81002. All right, cool. The other thing that you'll want to do which you'll find a very useful thing, is to also export the background image that you're using to light your your Substance Painter scene. This will be good so that you can then match and test to make sure you've set up your shader. So what it looks like in Substance Painter, it looks like in Maya when you render in Arnold. So if you want to do that, it's pretty straightforward as well. So just close this down, pop over to your display, check which environment map you're using. So in this one, it's Panorama. And we can just click over here and find Panorama here. Right click. And I do believe it. Oh, a bit of a freeze. Yeah, right click, export resource. And then you would export the resource to your Maya folder also. So I think it's in project, Maya, source images, yeah, and then just export there. And then you'll export that. So now we'll have a panorama XR. So what we'll do with that is we'll load this into our environment light and sky dome and beam the light in, so then we can test when we're setting up our shader that it's working correctly. Alright, cool. So that's pretty much it for getting our textures out of Substance Painter. Next video, we will hook them up in Maya.